Right, let's get on to the weekend's previews. There's only one place we can start, Ben Isaacs, and that, of course, is Minnesota. No, it's not. It is the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which was, wow, what an experience it was last week. We were expecting more of the same this time around. Disappointing that we don't have Cam Newton representing for the Bucs, as you rightly said before we started rolling, off and on the field. Of course, he is a must-watch ticket, but nevertheless, we're expecting... I think a close game, I think we're expecting. I think if you look at how these two matched up earlier in the season, the Bucs are the one team that have managed to keep Christian McCaffrey in check. They've got the number one rushing defense right now in the NFL. So that is what it's going to come down to, or certainly one of the key battles. Can McCaffrey have a typical day at the office, or will the Bucs repeat what they did earlier on in the season?
I think it's safe to say if McCaffrey does what he's been doing recently, this is going to be a Panthers win. If anyone can shut him down, the Bucs are built for it. They're built to stop the run, and that's useful as well, even when Cam Newton is playing. So you take that dimension out, and in theory, the Panthers are going to have problems because they had the dual threat of Newton and McCaffrey against that stout running defense, and the Bucs shut them down. McCaffrey just seems to have built up a head of steam now. And I think everyone knows that the offense relies on him. Kyle Allen is efficient. He's confident. I think McCaffrey is going to continue his streak. And I would say a Panthers win, personally.
You'll go for a Panthers win on McCaffrey. And he was the subject to my column this week for ESPN UK. You contributed that, of course. All the best bits were from him, quite frankly. Not least the point you made about McCaffrey emerging from college. Of course, he was the runner-up in the Heisman, explosive player in college. He was a top 10 pick. But there were still doubters, weren't there, that he could translate that and migrate to the NFL comfortably.
Yeah, it was thought that he was perhaps too small, a bit too fragile, and whether he'd be able to break tackles in the NFL. And the Panthers saw his potential, but didn't use him as much as he's being used now. At that point, they had Jonathan Stewart, an effective lead running back, and they put the game on the shoulders of Cam Newton. And then they soon started to realize that everything that he was doing in Stanford, that he should have won a Heisman Trophy. He was absolutely robbed, and there's a lot of reasons why he didn't get it. But those reasons were nothing to do with his talent. And he's living up to all that potential. He's proving people wrong who thought that, he doesn't have the size and power to do it at the next level. He's a better player now than he was in college. He's dominating games more than he did against the inferior opponents. I was really looking forward when the London schedule was released. I thought, I can't wait to see Cam Newton. Mm-hmm. That's a player to kind of tick off the list that you want to have seen in the flesh. I've never seen him in the flesh. But they would miss McCaffrey more than they would miss Cam Newton. And that is not something I would expect to be saying a month or so ago.
Kyle Allen's done a solid job coming in, but it seems to be regressing. So I think that's a concern for the Panthers on Sunday, particularly if they can keep the running game, if not as in check as they did earlier on in the season, then certainly reduce the impact that we've seen against other teams. Just quickly on college players and their migration and the NFL careers so far, a longer sample size with Jameis Winston, of course, compared to McCaffrey. And it's been a fairly volatile, up and down, Jekyll and Hyde type affair for Winston, but it seems to be on the upward trajectory. Working under Bruce Arians, we seem to be seeing a lot more of the Jameis Winston we expected to see from near enough from the start, right?
Well, there was the season that Florida State won the national championship, and he seemed like he was almost perfect, although he had a lot of weapons and he had a really good defense. And then the following season, they only they lost in the college football playoff, and they had a fantastic season. But they had a bit like I was saying about the 49ers and the Patriots. When they're playing these weaker teams, they are generally blowing them out. And that Florida State team, with Jameis Winston in his final season, they were playing the weaker teams and beating them, but scraping past them. And he was making a lot of mistakes. He was erratic. So when we've seen that in the NFL, I haven't been that surprised. Sometimes we get final season Jameis Winston, and sometimes we get penultimate season Jameis Winston. And I think he will always oscillate between those two. I don't think there is which is the real Jameis Winston. It's both of them. It's Jay Cutler syndrome. It's, are we getting good Jay or bad Jay? Do you know what? They are both the same person, and you're just going to have to deal with the fact that they can go up and down. I like Jameis Winston, but whether he's going to be an elite quarterback ever, I've got my doubts.
Okay, and your pick then? You're going...
I'm going with the Panthers. I think that McCaffrey is on such a roll right now, and that they will they will be able to work out that Bucs defense.
Yeah, I'm worried about the Panthers' pass rush, honestly, but I think the Bucs get the win. I think they will stifle the running game just enough. I think Winston, I will take over Kyle Allen.
Yep.
You've got Evans and Godwin balling right now, so I think the Panthers in a close game. And I'm thinking a lot of people are saying a low-scoring game. It was an interesting point at one of the Vegas shops was making that when teams have played already in the season and play again, typically the under statistically tends to come out. I know that might be neutralized by the neutral field of Spurs, but I have a feeling we might be seeing quite a few points in this one.
I would agree. I think this one is going to be a really good game. And Mike Evans could be the key. He was kept very quiet last week, and he is an elite receiver. If he has a big game, then you could see a Bucs win.
Hope you enjoyed the Nat Coombs Show presented by Paddy Power Fantasy. There's plenty more where that came from. Just click subscribe to ESPN UK and you won't miss a trick.